Call to order the President and Board of Trustees. Roll call.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Trustee Peck.
Here.
Trustee Rassich. Trustee Rippey.
Here.
Trustee Benucci.
Here.
Trustee Fay.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here, if we could rise for the pledge.
Presidential comments.
Just have one quick one. 17 municipalities formed the Wilt Electric Aggregation Group, and we've selected Homefield Energy. And this renewal has saved the residents over $25.5 million to date. It serves over 323,000 people. This new rate would be for 36 months. The rate that was agreed upon is .0699 as compared to 0742 from the ComEd, which represents a 6.5 savings. And I want to thank again the board, and that's all I have.
Trustees' comments.
I'd like to just remind everyone that school starts this week on Thursday, so for District 202, be a lot of kids out there that may not normally be out there in the early hours of the morning, so please be careful. Thank you.
Are there any other trustee comments? Not, this would be time for public comments on items not on the agenda, not to exceed 3 to 5 minutes per topic.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Vicki Polito of 25242 Blakely Drive, coming to you with something pretty serious, or very serious to me. A few weeks ago, we heard a presentation from, I believe it's Retail Strategies, on the firm the village contracted to help draw more business development to Plainfield. And I've got a suggestion to add to theirs, and that would be try never to elect trustees who are ignorant perverts into the slot. Since Easter weekend, Trustee Peck has made available on his public access Facebook page a vulgar, borderline pornographic video. The video's title alone is so crude and demeaning that I won't and can't repeat it here. Garrett Peck took an oath to serve this village, yet he's repeatedly caused not just embarrassment, but possible financial loss to us. People do research on those with whom they are considering doing business. Who doesn't know that? We also have students, high school students, who attend our board meetings, and they do reports on the village and leadership. They use Facebook. Organizations like the Chamber have appeared right alongside this disgusting content on Peck's Facebook page. Is that a net positive? What does it say to and for Plainfield when anyone can easily see that a trustee is an irresponsible deviant? Because of his behavior, anybody and everybody can readily connect the dots between Garrett Peck, low-rent porn, and Plainfield. And this is the guy who constantly tells everyone what's appropriate and inappropriate. That's not simple cognitive dissonance. That's a borderline psychological disorder or stupidity or both. None of us should tolerate anyone throwing away with both their hands the good that many people in this room and beyond do every day for Plainfield. How hard is it to understand the damage that this creepy public action inflicts on our town's reputation? Plainfield deserves better and requires better. I'll be sending each trustee, except for Garrett Peck, he can FOIA it if he wants it, and then so can anyone else, and our administrator, Mr. Murphy, the documentation on this shortly, and you can each see what exactly I'm objecting to and upset by, and you can have your own reaction. But you all need to have a reaction. Village leadership needs to take some kind of public stand on this truly inappropriate behavior from one of their own. I've frequently watched a few of you practically elbow one another out of the way when it's happy talk and you're patting someone on the back. Well, the people need you to do the ugly parts of your job too. If not, what good is having you all here at all? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of any pornographic postings on my Facebook page. I'd be happy to take a look at that and see if someone else got into my account or what exactly Mrs. Polito's talking about. I haven't received an email from her notifying me about it. I'm learning about this tonight. I'd be happy to review it and see what that content is and then report back to you. I do not post pornographic postings on my Facebook page or anywhere else for that matter. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other public comments? Not the-
Yes, under normal circumstances, the board never responds to an individual who makes a public comment. I was made aware of a particular site. It was Mr. Peck's Facebook account. I saw the situation that was described by Ms. Polito. It is obnoxious. I would not show it to my family. I would not show it to my wife. I was embarrassed by it. It graphically displays not grossly sexual behavior, but something that close to akin to something that is childish and representative. You'd have to see it. Because I'm not going to describe anymore. I have no idea who's perhaps watching this television presentation, but if Mr. Peck has not seen it, I have viewed it not viewed it on a regular basis, but just to see if it has been eliminated, and it hasn't been. I think it probably has been there on your Facebook account for the last couple months. You can pull it up and still see it. If you're not aware of it, you should be aware of it, because I will be able to give you the site. I could pull it up on my telephone, in fact. But I choose not to do it right now, obviously.
Well, since most of the board members are not unaware of the information or video, I think until that information becomes available, we will cease and desist.
And Trustee Rassich, I'd be happy to. The site you're referring to, I'd be happy to review. I'm not aware of that.
I will give that information to our representative, our legal representative, or to Mr. Collins, and then he could discuss it with you, because I think that would be the proper venue instead of just you and I meeting after this meeting. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? If not, then we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seek.
You have to use the microphone. Could you just come up and identify yourself, ma'am, and
I was thinking this is something that was addressed at the end of the meeting, so I may be out of order as far as sequence, but my name is Vivian Hager. I live in Springbank subdivision, and a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting with the developer that took that over a couple of years ago. A couple of you were there, so you've got an idea of why I'm here. The developer has indicated that he wants to downgrade the quality of the homes being built now in our subdivision, and basically said, so sad, too bad, when it comes to changing the CC&Rs. And I was hoping that you could do something to support us, keep this from happening. I don't know if that's possible, but I did want to come here tonight and make it known that it's a concern to a lot of us. I think there would have been a lot more of us here, but we had planned on coming last week, and that village meeting was canceled and rescheduled for tonight. So that's probably why we have a small turnout. That's it.
ma'am, we can have Mr. Garrigan. You can talk to him after the meeting if you wish and address your concerns. We'll see what we can do from that.
Are there any other public comments? Not, then we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to remove item E from the consent agenda and to vote on it separately.
So move.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting and executive sessions held on July 21st, bills paid and bills payable reports for August 11th, cash and investments, revenue and expenditure reports for June, authorize the purchase of the Laserfish software upgrade from TKB Associates for the total amount of $11,402.55. And resolution number 1693, a revised refunding resolution appropriating the sum of $58,650 or so much thereof as may be necessary to pay its share of the IDOT project C91-542-1260V3 traffic signal installation at Illinois Route 126 in Meadow Lane.
That is my motion.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded to adopt items A, B, C, D, and F under the consent agenda. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to release bond number 888107S for the River Point subdivision in the amount of $67,547 and bond number 888108S in the amount of $58,080.
So move.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
Oh, go ahead.
Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Abstain. I'm abstaining. I just wanted to clarify this because the person who's involved in this business transaction is a friend, but it's also a business partner in some other dealings, and I prefer to abstain from this vote.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is row homes at Prairie Creek. We're seeking board consideration to adopt an ordinance rezoning the subject property to R4.
So moved. Move that we adopt, or give a number for the
3170.
3170. To rezone the property to R4.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt ordinance number 3171, approving a special use for a planned development.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 3171, approving the special use for planned development.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
No.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Plainfield Township Cemetery. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt an ordinance rezoning the subject property to R1.
Second.
That motion was made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? That ordinance number is 3172, and I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt an ordinance, a special use to allow for a cemetery in the R1 district.
So move.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. That ordinance number is 3173. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve a final plat for a plat of consolidation of the subject site with the existing Plainfield Township Cemetery.
So
That is my
move.
motion.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
I do have one question. This was a former restaurant site. Has the property been remediated?
Yes, actually, the applicant has identified they have done soil borings and soil testing. As of right now, they've not, based on my understanding, they have ascertained any type of contamination.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Argodelis on behalf of the cemetery. In further answer to that, I received the oral environmental report today, and it is clean. and I'm supposed to have the hard copy within a day or so. So
Thank you.
we got that done. Thanks.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, the motion was made and seconded to approve a plat of consolidation for the Plainfield Township Cemetery. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2015 Wounded Warrior 5K. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2015 Wounded Warrior 5K to be held on May 23rd, 2015, and to limit the number of runners to 1,200.
So move.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
I have a question. Reducing from 1,300 to 1,200 because of a parking problem. How much of the parking problem was due to people attending and not just the participants?
It was not only a parking problem, it was also just the number of runners themselves. The way the run is set up is it basically starts out in the parking lot out here, and because of where all the vehicles are parked and everything like that, the runners back in the pack actually have to run around cars to actually get into the course because there's so many people lined up. And parking is part of the issue, but basically what we try to do is have a formula for every runner in a race. You can typically expect 2 to 3 people to come watch that runner. So just because we had, I believe it was 1,300 runners last year, we had well over 4,000 people at the race, observers and staff and everything like that. So again, parking was not the only issue. That was one of the issues, but just the beginning of the race itself, as far as where to put all those people, was one of our larger issues as well.
I certainly support the idea of the 5K run, but is reduction of 100 participants sufficient to really improve the situation, or should we go down to, say, 1,000 or whatever?
Well, I think we can manage accordingly at 1,200. Unfortunately, because of the success of their event, this is only the 3rd year of their event, and the first year they had roughly around 400, and you can see in 2 years it's almost tripled in size. So we felt if we didn't put a cap on it, it would, rightfully so, continue to expand to the point where obviously it was way too many people to handle. Based on the number that we had last year, I think 1,200 is what we can handle. We're going to have to work with the organizers on those parking issues and also just the start line, but I think 1,200 is the number that we can work with.
Okay, I encourage you after the next event, give us the feedback again, because you've done a good job on all the other races and events. So
Absolutely.
Because you may need to adjust it based on another year's experience. Assume you're the organizers?
Well, I'm part of it.
Part of it, okay.
My name is Jim Morsabello. I'm better known as the husband of Donna Morsabello, the founder. In answer to the police officer's questions, we totally agree with the limited amount of 1,200 because we've made some adjustments as far as we're not going to have a same-day registration, so that we'll conform with the 1,200. Our main concern also is safety. We learned a lot from last year's race. We're going to have better signage, more signage, and we're going to use additional I forget the road, but it's right east of the railroad tracks.
The riverfront property.
We didn't even use that last year. We were told we could use that, so that'll be available. We also had one of our sponsors had a bus, a shuttle bus, and we can get a couple of more that will shuttle people rather than have them walk across the main street for safety. But we totally agree.
Okay, good, thank you.
We've also adjusted which will provide, the map and everything. This is our race man right here, and we've adjusted the race so that the runners aren't running basically on top of each other.
Nothing speaks more highly than successful situation. I can remember your very first organization, and I worked that particular event, and the individuals who were responsible that particular year, 3 years ago, said, I didn't know if anybody would even show up. Well, last year, so many people showed up, but what I really, really appreciate, not only an effort on not only your part, but the village's part to make this a very successful time. But you know what it does? One thing, it really showcases the village of Plainfield, and it showcases the cooperation between our group, our entire village, and the Wounded Warriors organization. It was really beautifully run. There were a few glitches that are obviously being ironed out right now, but you know what? It really looked great. Everybody appreciated it. It was a beautiful day, and it showed the spirit of our cooperation. And I'm glad you're coming back, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to have you come back.
Well, we can't tell you enough how much we appreciate and are thankful not only to the village of Plainfield, businesses of Plainfield, but the police department and the fire department have been so supportive. I mean, even in our homecomings, the police department are always there, the fire department's always there, and it's just been a great marriage. I mean, and we just really appreciate everybody's help. Because believe me, we couldn't do it by ourselves. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Briefly say also, I certainly can say having too much success is not a bad problem to have. So thank you all for the work that you do
Thank you.
and for such an important
We
cause.
do it, you know, just to throw one thing in, you can tell I'm accustomed to speaking. That's who we do it for. We do it for the Wounded Warriors. And because of the success we had last year, I don't know if everyone's aware of it, with the funds that were raised, we were able to purchase 2 Action Tractor mobile wheelchairs, which allow the fellas and girls to do things that normal people do. They can go hunting, they can go fishing, they can play golf, they can get out. And we delivered one as a prototype, so that just because they're personally custom fitted. And the soldier's little boy said, "Daddy, that means we can go fishing again." That's what it's worth. That's what makes it all worth it. So, but thank you again for your support. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Once I'm done going through my Facebook account tonight, I'd be happy to share your event as well and help promote it. Thanks.
I have no comment.
How did that relate to? Yeah, it was uncalled for.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to authorize the road closures as identified in the staff report for the 2015 Wounded Warrior 5K to be held on May 23rd, 2015, and to limit the number of runners to 1,200. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 135th Street and Wisconsin Central LTD Railroad.
Thank you. Let me give a really quick.
Just real quick, Alan, I just want to thank the Wounded Warriors, the representatives here, and the ladies, the gentlemen that always help every year. We're going to go on with the agenda, but thank you very much for your appearance this evening.
Thank you. Let me give a really brief, quick overview related to this project. We're really pleased that this project continues to move forward, improving pedestrian safety and access throughout the community. It was a very important part of the strategic plan when the board got together and met with the community to discuss the needs of the community too as well. We believe this is an important link and an important improvement too as well, and the board is well aware, but so the public is aware. This is a railroad crossing at 135th Street, not far from Walker's Grove School, Route 30, and the Walgreens and the brand new McDonald's too as well. So we're getting quite a bit of foot traffic over there. The plan is to provide a separated trail that would cross a railroad crossing near 135th Street. Now, Mr. Harvey, our attorney, along with staff, had attended and participated in a meeting before the ICC in Chicago on June 23rd of this year. The hearing went very well. We were provided some direction that the ICC would prefer that crossing gates be provided over the pedestrian crossing as well as the normal crossing too as well, so lights and gates. And this is something that's relatively new. We see in some areas in Illinois, some places have gates, some don't. They are all based on the ICC's order and decision. We believe that this is what the ICC will provide as part of the order, and we expect to have the order sometime in September, if not earlier too as well. The additional work that was needed to complete this, along with the plats, legals, and the jurisdictional transfer, created some additional work for Baxter and Woodman.
They do have two proposals, or actually one proposal here and then an MFT authorization, so the village can utilize MFT funds for this. But this is in line with IDOT standards for what engineering firms can charge for a project like this. Again, I want to remind the board that there's approximately 80% funding for this project through the ICC. So we're very motivated to get the project completed. We're hoping to motivate the ICC even further to get our order. As soon as we get the order, it'll go out to bid. This project will take only about 2 weeks to construct, start to finish. So we're very hopeful that we'll get this completed with some favorable weather this fall. Hopeful that we'll get it completed this year. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but this is consistent with IDOT requirements for engineering services.
I move we authorize the village president to execute contract amendment number 1 with Baxter and Woodman for the expanded scope of work relating to 135th Street and Wisconsin Central CN Railroad pedestrian crossing in the amount of $77,700 and noted in the attached memo.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck? Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt resolution number 1694, an MFT funding resolution appropriating the sum of $7,700 or so much thereof as may be necessary to pay for the additional engineering costs of the improvement.
So move.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Administrators report?
None tonight, thank you.
Management services report?
None there either.
Engineers report?
Our monthly progress report is included. Be happy to answer any questions.
Just one question, Derek. I probably can guess at the answer, but tar and chip bidding?
Correct.
I assume this is when you chip up or knock down the road and then tar it so you can put another surface on. Do we bid that separately from the road covering?
It is. It's a different contractor that does that type of work.
Okay.
So it is typically done on more rural type roads within the village out west of town.
Do we have something coming through quick soon to cover it up? Because we don't want to leave it in a chip form.
Oh, no, it'll be the tar and chip together. Yeah, it's all done at one time. But it would not be done with your typical paving program because that would be a different contractor that does this type of work.
Okay. First time I've seen that terminology used.
Yeah, and I think it's really the first time we've done a project like this. Alan may remember, but it's the first time I remember doing a tar and chip within the village. Been a while.
I don't feel so bad if it's the first time you've seen it, too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway.
Bid opening is tomorrow.
Okay.
Derek was in junior high. I was here.
Thank you.
Planning Department report? Building Department report?
No report.
Public Works report? Alan?
Alan, before we go past you, would you like to make a comment on the restriping on Van Dyke Road up here?
Yeah, just briefly, we, again, as part of the village's strategic plan to make the community more walkable, friendly for pedestrians and for bicyclists too as well, saw the opportunity to create a bike lane on both sides and do the striping up there. Initially, the contractor did put some striping down that wasn't as favorable for the bike lane, and we're making some adjustments out there. And within the next week or two, it'll be finished, and it'll be very favorable for bicyclists and for pedestrians alike.
While we're talking about striping, I have a question on 135th. It's almost blinding when you go down 135th right now. There's so much color. We could live with that, but are we going to put those posts back up so people don't short circuit the turn from 135th onto 59, left turn going north?
Yes, the delineators will go in right there at Route 59 or along 135th Street, just adjacent to Route 59, similar to what you had before, but a newer style, even more rugged delineator than you had before.
All right, great, thank you.
Yep. That's all I had.
Police Chief's report?
Thank you. I'm seeking board's consideration to purchase some emergency equipment for Plainfield EMA. Both items are from the same vendor. The first item is a light bar for one of our older vehicles. It was a light bar that was actually for lack of a better term, a hand-me-down from the police department that had 10 to 15 years of service on it. It was actually the old rotator technology where the lights rotate and they're not the strobe or the LEDs. Those type of light bars, that type of equipment is really no longer readily available. So with the light bar breaking down, it was not something we had anticipated, but we do have the funds within our budget to purchase replacement light bar. Last year, we actually had purchased a light bar and they had sent us the wrong one, so our vendor still had the original light bar that they sent us in stock, so we could get that very readily available. The second piece of equipment, also an emergency piece of equipment, is some scene lighting that we would install on one of our emergency vehicles. Excuse me. Is some scene lighting that we would mount to a piece of equipment that can actually also come off and be a portable lighting unit as well at certain scenes. This would help increase our response time because we would not have to stand by and hook up our light towers and pull them out to the scene. Although those are still available if the scene is extended and we still need those purposes. But with the lights, the scene lighting actually attached to the vehicle, it would help with our response capabilities and our response times. The two items together are totaled at $6,850.87 from Fleet Safety, and I would seek the board's consideration to get that approval.
Chief, I just have a brief question for you. The car that we're putting these lights on, if the lights are that old, is the car worth upgrading? Or is it a car that we're going to replace?
I'm not going to say no. But we make the vehicles usable. The vehicle is over 10 years old, but it is still in good working shape. We've seen success out of the Pima vehicles where we've been running them for 15 plus years before they've been having to put out the pasture, if you will. So I would never turn down a new vehicle, sir, but it is still.
Well, it wasn't an offer, but
Oh, we thought you were offering
it
that,
does
Dan.
still have. We believe we can still get several years of useful life out of it.
all right, thank you.
One question, Chief. I'm just curious. If we ordered a light bar for this car, would we get a 48-inch or is it 48-inch because they have a 48-inch and we can use it? It may not be ideal for us, but who's doing who a favor in this case? We doing them a favor by taking it off their inventory? Or are they doing us a favor because I reduced the price from what we would have ordered if we had to order a new one?
Well, the original purchase last year was actually a mistake on their part. They sent us the
Right.
wrong light bar. We had sent them the correct specifications, but they had sent us the wrong light bar. So they remedied that. They sent us the correct light bar, and apparently they have not been able to find anyone to purchase that wrong light bar, if you will, in the interim. So I guess we're both doing each other a favor. They're able to get us the light bar immediately upon approval, and we're taking the light bar off their hands.
Okay, but would you have ordered the 48-inch if you were outside?
For that vehicle, yes. The
Okay,
vehicle
that's
that the original light bar was purchased for.
That's all they needed. I was just kind of curious
was a
as
larger vehicle, so yes.
to what was going on, but thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not. The motion was made and seconded to authorize the purchase of the proposed emergency equipment from Fleet Safety Supply for the total amount of $6,850.87. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck? Yes. Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Attorney's report?
No report this evening, thank you.
Reminders?
August 13th will be coffee with the mayor. The 18th will be our village board meeting and the committee of a whole. The 19th will be our next planning commission meeting, and the 25th will be our next regular village board meeting.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
There's an HPC meeting this Thursday too, but it's